Hi, guys, and welcome back to Too Much. I am not going to do a catch up today, and I instead am just going to go down the rabbit hole immediately because this topic is a juicy one. In fact, I would kind of say it's a bit of a bomb of an episode because today we are talking about love bombing. Now, this episode really just hits home for me because I feel like I have been love bombed so many times. I am a love bomb victim. And we just did the episode about narcissism a couple weeks ago, which was a part 1, and I'll be doing a part 2. But in between that, I kind of just wanted to really, really harp on the love bombing because I feel like it is the most common and most overlooked tactic of people. And I'm specifically saying people because it comes in so many different shapes and sizes, and it's also not only something that narcissists do. So I just really want to unpack that. Because also I don't really think that people realize all of the things that are considered love bombing and how you might actually be negatively affected in a relationship and have no idea. So you'll see what I mean. Let's just go down the rabbit hole, shall we? What is love bombing? Love bombing is psychological manipulation. It's a tactic where someone overwhelms you super early on in a relationship or even in an encounter with affection and attention and gifts and praise. And this is done to fast track intimacy or gain control. And it feels like a fairy tale. It feels like all of your dreams are finally coming true and you're being saved by Prince Charming. But let me tell you something. That ain't Prince Charming. The goal of someone who's love bombing is not to make you feel good, although you are feeling good while it's happening. The goal is dependency. The goal is to make themselves feel good through your reactions and the gratitude that you're giving them and the love that you're giving them back. And the more you're adored, the more you're likely to overlook the red flags that are blaring in your fucking face, thus allowing the love bomber to manipulate and be in the driver's seat in the situation. They end up deciding the pace and the dynamic, and they have control. Love bombing is emotional bait. And once you are hooked, the love starts to feel conditional. And I know when all of these psychological and therapy terms are thrown around, a lot of people sit there and they're like, no, I've never been a victim to this. I've never dealt with that. But it's really hard to identify sometimes. And it's hard to admit and realize that you are so susceptible to it. We as human beings are emotionally wired to seek connection, closeness, and validation, and emotional safety. And love bombing mimics all of those. But it is performative. It is not sustainable because it is exactly that. It is a bomb. Real love grows. Love bombs explode. So like I said when we first started the episode, it is a tactic that is often used by narcissists. And I did touch on this in the narcissism episode, Narcissism Part 1. When a narcissist is using love bombing against their victim, it's done to secure attention and affection before you can realize what their motive is or the shitty person that they are. This is in that whole narcissistic cycle that I talked about, where the stages are idealization, devaluing, and discarding. This is the idealization stage. This is when they are doing the most to hook you. And also, as a reminder, this is a narcissistic behavior. You don't have to be a narcissist clinically to be deploying this tactic. Now, the other type of people that use love bombing when it comes to their romantic and platonic relationships are emotionally immature people. You don't need to be a narcissist to love bomb. Sometimes people don't even know that they're love bombing, and it's actually stemming from these deep abandonment wounds. It's a way that they've been able to feel stable and secure. Truthfully, when I was researching for this episode and doing my homework, I kind of realized that I've love bombed people. And there's a chance you may have as well. Granted, this was definitely back when I was less emotionally mature. I've said this before. I used to let people fall in love with my hand before my heart, and that I used to do all of these things for them. And I used to show them how lovable I am so that they wouldn't leave me, so that they would find me valuable. Maybe I was cooking for them right away. Maybe I was doing favors for them and giving gifts right away. That is exactly what I was doing. And in my mind, I was doing it so they wouldn't leave me, or that they would fall in love with me so I would feel secure and I wouldn't feel like they'll ever abandon me because I've demonstrated my value. Wasn't I love bombing? It wasn't until I learned and saw these patterns in all my breakups that I was like, oh my God, I'm exerting so much energy in the beginning of these relationships. And then I either realize that they're a shithead and I end up breaking up with them, or the relationship just goes to shit because they weren't right for me to begin with. But I had done all these things in the beginning, and I was like, fuck, I'm like burning myself out every single time I'm in a relationship. I gotta stop doing that. I have to really take my time and build that emotional connection with someone and that intimacy with someone before I start doing all these things for them. So I have since stopped doing that once I did emotionally mature. But hindsight, I look at it and I'm like, technically, that's what I was doing. I was doing the most and giving them the most right in the beginning. And then it would burn out because we just weren't right for each other. So there's a real life example of someone who's not a narcissist, myself, yet I do have really bad abandonment issues. And I have my whole life, and I will get into that another day, but that's definitely where it comes from because I was afraid that someone would leave me. And I would do anything that I could to get them to stay. Was it intentional? No. But did I subconsciously do it? Yes. So like I said, I don't really think a lot of people realize all of the things that are considered love bombing. I mean, look, myself, I didn't even realize what I was doing on my own was love bombing. But I've also been in so many relationships where I just thought it was normal. I thought it was okay. I thought whatever was going on was fine. Because when it comes to love bombing, you really don't identify it and label it as love bombing until the bomb explodes, until you're left in the dust. And then you look back and you see all the red flags, you see all the signs, and then you're like, holy shit, I was love bombed. So regardless that there are so many different types of love bombing, they do all share one common goal: to create the illusion of intimacy and connection before it even exists, before it's real. It's all about how quickly they can secure you. And when I say before it exists and before it's real, I'm talking a very short amount of time. All of these tactics and types of love bombs would really have to occur within the first 1 to 3 months, I would say. Sometimes these happen within the first 24 hours. Those are the extreme love bombs. And then other ones could happen a month in, and depending on the type, it still could be considered love bombing. I'll get into why with each one. So, number 1 is the over-the-top compliments. This is the gushing praise, you're the girl of my dreams, the guy of my dreams, you're the one I've been looking for, and they met you 35 minutes ago. So why is this love bombing? This motherfucker does not know you from Joe, Dick, and Larry from their hometown. They know nothing about you to be making these claims that you are the most wonderful, amazing person they've ever met. They don't know you. This is false intimacy and emotional inflation. This is filling your head up, and now you feel so fucking special because of their words. And eventually, this will condition you to crave their approval and their praise. Number 2, this one I think is just a really good lesson in general, and that is constant communication. And why I say that this is a great lesson is because when you have it, it's considered love bombing. And when you don't, it's considered normal. And I think that a lot of people, when they're not getting constant communication very early on, suddenly think that someone's not interested. When in reality, constant communication feels like attention, but it's actually control disguised as connection. It leaves no room for natural space and natural boundaries to grow. It floods your nervous system with dopamine, creating a chemical dependence on the connection itself. on the text itself. This is the good morning text, the midday check-ins, the phone calls, 1 day in, 2 days in, a week in, whatever. I've done this myself, and I hear my friends doing it when they first meet someone and they're like, well, we haven't talked in 2 days. That's normal. This person just went, I don't know how old they are, 33, 34 years of their life, not talking to you every single day. To work you into their routine to where they are in a healthy amount of communication with you takes time. They're not going to overnight be sending you good morning texts, good night texts, be talking to you 24/7. That's not normal. That's love bombing. If someone says, I miss you after one date, after a week, it's like, buddy, what the fuck do you miss? You don't know me. Maybe I have bad morning breath and you don't want to be waking up next to me every morning. Like, you don't know who I am. So how could you miss me? So why are they saying that? They're saying it so you'll say, I miss you too. And they will get a dopamine hit. And they will feel loved and missed and needed and wanted. That is called love bombing. It's about how you make them feel, not about how they're making you feel. This episode makes me angry. Number 3, big gestures early on. This is the most typical and commonly assumed type of love bombing. This is the gift giving. It's a plane ticket after 2 dates, booking vacations, big gifts for no reason right when you meet. This fast tracks the intimacy and the relationship. It is also manipulative pacing. I've been through this so many times. I've mentioned the narcissist that I dated. You know, I talked about him a bit in the comparison episode. That guy bought me a trip to Paris after 3 weeks of knowing me. And you know when that trip to Paris was? A month later. So what was I doing? Holding out until Paris, even though it was kind of a shitty relationship. So it's like a carrot. It's a carrot when it's something that they're booking. And it's a reward-based system when they're giving you a physical reward, when they're giving you a gift. You're like, ooh, I like this. This is nice. It's like that TikTok trend. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. That's fucking love bombing. The grand gestures override your ability to slow down and your ability to assess the real compatibility and how it's actually going. You're just like tunnel vision to the gestures, and all these red flags are whirling around you and you can't see them. You immediately go colorblind and have blinders on. Next, we have excessive future talk. I touched on this a little bit in the narcissism episode, and that's that future faking. That's that, I can't wait to introduce you to my mom. We're going to get married someday. We're going to have kids. We're going to move here. They essentially take your dream life that you want and you envision for yourself, and they promise it to you so that you stick around. Suddenly, this person that's in front of you is the one who's going to make all of your dreams come true. We've all had that. You're sitting there laying in bed with a guy that you just met. You say the word Italy, and they're like, oh, our honeymoon should be in Italy. Like, give me a fucking break. It's a false sense of permanence and security before they've earned it. And the worst part is it makes it extremely hard to walk away when reality starts to set in, when they start to show you their true colors. This is also same thing with the Paris trip. I was like, I can wait it out another month. Don't judge me. Number 5 is a big one that, again, I feel a lot of people overlook, and that is the early pet names, the early I love yous. This is very similar to saying I miss you early on, but this is like the babies, the babe, wifey. They're trying to anchor emotional weight to a very shallow connection. It's a term of endearment, and it makes your stomach drop a little bit. The first time you hear it, I remember that like, oh, he just called me babe. Like, quick dopamine, quick spark. That's not good. That's your nervous system having a little baby heart attack because there are receptors in your brain that are realizing that that's too early. That's your gut being like, oh, I don't know if he should have said that, but then your heart is like, oh, I kind of like it. A lot of contrasting ideas happening. Then number 6, pushing for commitment too fast. This one I feel like is a little bit more rare, and that is right away after a couple weeks. Like, I don't want to see other people. I don't need to see anyone else. You're the only one for me. It's intimacy that's happening before the stability. Again, they might be rushing the relationship to lock you in before you see the flags, before you see the problems, before things get messy. This goes back to when I talked about the narcissist and when I started dating him. I mean, I met him New Year's Eve and we were official by January 17th. 17 days. Like, I hadn't even gone through a full menstrual cycle yet, and I was already calling this guy my boyfriend. Crazy. I was silly. I was a silly, silly girl. I'm actually taking back that I just said that because I always thought that I was smarter than this. I always thought that I was too smart to be love bombed. I always thought, nah, you can't pull one over on me. I'm too savvy. I'm too smart. I'm too with it. But let me tell you, anyone can be love bombed. It is common. It is natural to fall for one. So do not beat yourself up about it. Next, we have the public displays of affection. This could be physical PDA, where you're out in public and it's already holding hands, already like, I was gonna say already making out in public, but I don't really like to do that after 2 years. But it's just acting like you are boyfriend and girlfriend before you really are. And this could also be on social media. This could be the stories, the soft launches, the hard launches too soon, like tagging you in photos. It creates this social proof and pressure, again, before it even really truly exists. All of a sudden, oh, my friend just DM'd me and asked me who's in my photo. Like, I told him about you. That boom, 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 boom. All of these third parties are now all of a sudden involved in this relationship that doesn't exist yet. And you feel this pressure of, oh, well, I guess now people know about me. So I guess we're a thing. Love bomb. Now you don't want to walk away because it feels like a public failure. It's not good. And lastly, which I pretty much just said and also is just encompassing of it all, is acting like it's a relationship before it is. This is probably the most common one, but this is the spending every day together after your first date. You know, our date was on Thursday night. We've been together Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Or they're asking you to do things with them or for them that are girlfriend privileges. Introducing you to the friends, maybe the parents. Asking you to fucking go grocery shopping with them or come to the doctor with them. Things that are really relationshipy and doing those early. This is so triggering for me. I can't tell you how many times I remember being like, oh, we went grocery shopping together. Like these very small actions and activities that on paper aren't a big deal, but because they're so subtle, because they're so comfortable feeling and familiar feeling, you all of a sudden are falling into this relationship, not really by choice. And it locks you in. That's like when you're playing house, you're suddenly cooking for them. This happened with pretty much every single guy I've ever been with before Mr. Right. And I remember when I started dating him, I said, I'm not gonna cook for these guys anymore. I will not cook for them until we are dating, until I'm your girlfriend. Until I am promoted to girlfriend, you do not get a meal from me. I will not show you how good of a cook I am. And I did that with Mr. Right. I didn't cook for him for like 2.5 months, which is really long for me because I love cooking. But cooking is a girlfriend privilege. Really, it's a wife privilege, but it's 2025. We'll let it slide. So those are all the ways that someone can love bomb you. And to me, before really understanding love bombing and narcissism and all of these different terms, I probably assumed that it was just the gift giving. I don't think I really saw an issue with all of the other things that were going on. And like I said, I thought that I was too savvy to be love bombed or to be tricked and bamboozled. What am I thinking of right now? Oh my God. Is that the Santa Claus? No. Oh my God, Polar Express. When he's like, bamboozled, taking down the primrose path. The little elf says that to him. Oh my God. God, I haven't really quoted movie quotes in a while on here. But yeah, I thought I was too smart to be taking down the primrose path. But I'm not. We are all susceptible to it because we are all fucking human beings. Love bombing can be so difficult to spot if you've never been in a healthy relationship or in a relationship where someone is meeting your needs and your wants and desires. If you've been starved for affection. it fills this void and floods you with dopamine. And then suddenly we're in a dopamine fog and we can't see what is blaringly unhealthy right in front of us. If you grew up on crumbs, a feast will feel suspicious. But if you grew up on nothing, even crumbs will feel like a miracle. And even if you didn't grow up starved for affection or on crumbs, like I know I wasn't. My parents were very affectionate and loving and caring, but there were so many things that I wanted and I envisioned for myself in a relationship. Some of these material, some of them affection-based or care-based that I never received in past relationships. So all of a sudden someone would come along and they'd be buying me a gift. They'd be taking me on vacation. They'd be singing my praises and telling me I'm beautiful and wonderful and amazing. And I'd be like, this is what I deserve because I have a sense of self-worth and I think that I deserve the best. But I had no idea that it was just a wolf in sheep's clothing who was breadcrumbing me until I was locked in and thought that they were my knight in shining armor. Like I said, almost all of the guys that I had been with prior to Mr. Right have done this to me, or I've fallen for it. I don't want to place so much blame. But the most intense love bombing I've ever experienced was probably the person that I dated right before Mr. Right. And this is the person that I always refer to as the old man. So here's the story of how the old man came to be. Picture it. It was the Hamptons, 4th of July weekend, 2023. This was the first summer I had living back in New York post the Hawaii breakup. So this was about to be a feral fucking summer. I was going with my girls to the Hamptons. We got a house for 2 weekends. It was going to be fucking awesome. I think probably our second or third night, we went to the surf lodge. Classic surf lodge. I had been on a boat earlier that day and I may or may not have done some mushrooms. So I would like to say that my dopamine fog was at a high and that I had some rose-colored glasses on and my judgment wasn't so great. Let's just preface the story with that. So we get to Surf Lodge. It's me and 4 or 5 of my girlfriends and we are sitting at the dinner table and I'm like, I can't sit here. I am just on another planet. I'm like, I gotta get up. I gotta go to the bathroom, whatever. So me and one of my friends go wait on the bathroom line. And I don't know if you know Surf Lodge, but we're inside right next to like the little sunken living room looking area and like a couple bottle service tables there. We're waiting online for the bathroom. And all of a sudden, this man, like running, jumps over the couch and comes up to me and is like, hi, my name is Old Man, and I would love to buy you and your friend a drink. And I was like, he had 3 heads. I was on mushrooms. I was like, okay. He was really good looking. He was dressed well. And I was like, whatever, sure, free drink. So my friend and I go over after we go to the bathroom. He gets us a drink within 5 minutes. I am his dream girl. I am the one he's been looking for. I'm perfect, beautiful, amazing. Every positive quality in the book was being whispered in my ear. I don't remember asking him how old he was right away, but he had some miles on him. So I had a pretty good idea that he was 45 plus. And I was 29 at the time. And I kind of was like letting him just like whisper sweet nothings in my ear. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then all of a sudden he's like, let's go up to the store in the front. Again, if you're not familiar with Surf Lodge, there's a little boutique in the front. It's vastly overpriced. And I'm sure it's for these scenarios. He goes, let's go to the store in the front. And I was like, no, what do you have, a kink for buying girls gifts or something? Like, and he was like, no, I just really want to buy you a gift. He blatantly was like, I want to love bomb you. And it was like, boom, 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 right over my head. I was like, okay, sure. And I was being kind of an asshole about it. I was like, sure, let's go to the front store. Let's see what you got. And he brings me up there. He goes, what do you want? And I see a ring and I picked it out. It had like a diamond in it. And I kind of was just like, that one. And again, in my brain, I was kind of just like fully calling his bluff. And he goes, okay, go sit back down. I don't want you to see this. That was the panty drop moment. I was like, oh. So he like didn't want me to see the price, didn't want me to like be involved. And I was kind of just like, all right, fine. So I go back to the table and I look at my friend. I go, I think he's buying me a ring right now. Sure shit. He comes back over and he had bought me a ring with diamonds all over it. And I was like, just like floored. And it was from then on that I went colorblind and just lost my fucking mind. I somehow found out that the ring cost $5,000, which he spent on me in the first 20 minutes of meeting me. But again, judgment was a little off. I was like, I deserve this. I'm a princess. This is great. Let's rock. So went on throughout our night. My friends joined his friends. We started like bar hopping. He had a driver that was like waiting outside for us. We get to the next bar. He just like gives me his black card. He's like, go crazy. And I was like, oh my God, a black card for my $7 tequila sodas at this dive bar on the side of the road. Thank you so much. I was just like, this might be my fairy tale. This might be my Prince Charming. For timeline concept and context, I'd only started Unhinged 3 months. No, I'd only started Unhinged a week earlier. So I had not done any research on narcissism or gaslighting or love bombing or any of that. So I was just like a little naive baby. So he's telling me he wants to have babies with me, that he wants to marry me, all of this shit. He starts telling people that we did just get married and this was our honeymoon. Obviously, he was joking and we were like role playing, but I was so into it. I was like, yeah, we got married in Italy, like to strangers. And it was fun. It was really fun. I was drunk. I was on mushrooms. I was having a great time. Next day, he tells me he's going back to the city. And I was like, okay, it was nice knowing you. And he was like, no, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back next weekend. I'll see you. I'll take you out, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, sure. I'll believe it when I see it. You know, I was like falling for it, but also I did have some sort of wits about me. Also, the sun had come up and I was no longer tripping. And I was no longer drunk. So I was like, all right, that was really fun while it lasted, whatever. Fast forward until the next weekend, he actually ended up coming back down to the Hamptons and he took me and all of my friends out, sneakily put his card down, just paid for everyone. I'm looking at them. I'm like, oh my God, is this real? They're like, we actually like him. They didn't think they were going to like him. And I was like, oh my God, this might be it. The next day he takes me to lunch. We were checking out that day. So I had to head back to the city. He was supposed to stay a couple extra days in the Hamptons. Then he's like, I think I'm going to go back too. I'm not done spending time with you. I want to be with you more. So now we're like weekend 2, 3 days in. We both drive back to the city. We had separate cars. He gives me his address. And I was like, I think I'm just going to like run home first, drop my stuff and shower and all that and come meet you. I show up 2 hours later. Number one, gorgeous apartment. Immaculate. Multiple bedrooms, multiple bathrooms, just stunning. He designed it himself. Every single box was being checked. He had good taste. He made me laugh. Like the chemistry was really good. I get into the kitchen. Table is set. There's candles. There's not only fabric napkins, but there's napkin ring holders on the napkins. I was like having an orgasm just looking at the setting of the table. In that 2 hours that I was gone, went to Whole Foods, got all the stuff, cooked for me, put flowers out. Like, it was insane. Spent the night. It was a great night. Everything seemed amazing. While he was cooking dinner and I was like walking around the kitchen, he looked down at my feet and he was like, you have such small feet. What size feet are you? And I was like, oh my God, like, don't look at my pedicure. I'm at 6.5. Shh, go away. I thought it was a weird comment, but it comes into play. A couple days later, he asks me out to dinner. And this one felt like a real date. Like the fantasy weekend was over, the Hamptons is over. Like now is actually, you know, we're gonna continue seeing each other after that. Takes me out to dinner. He keeps being like, are you coming back to my apartment? Are you coming over? Are you coming over? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Play your cards right. I was still trying to be coy about it all and play it cool. He was 20 years older than me. I was trying to keep my wits about me as best I could. Finally, at the end of the night, I was like, okay, fine. I'll come back with you. We walk into his apartment and sure as shit, there is a Christian Louboutin shopping bag sitting on the counter. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And he was like, open it. I got you something. This man, after 1 week of knowing me, got me not only a pair of Christian Louboutins, but a pair of Christian Louboutins from the bridal collection. They were white satin. The dust bag wasn't even red. It was baby blue. And I had known him for 7 days. He might as well have gotten down on one knee in that moment. And I would have said yes. It's so embarrassing just like looking back and hearing myself say it all because I can't believe all of the red flags that I ignored. But love bombing is a hell of a tool. So I'm like, oh my God, took them graciously, thanked him. And essentially, to give you the Cliff Notes version, we continued seeing each other. And I actually thought this was going to be a real relationship. We were going to the Hamptons like every weekend together. After 3 weeks, he put me on a blade and flew me out to meet him. He was taking me out to dinner all the time. After 3.5 weeks, he kind of accidentally met my parents. He was like, I want to go golfing with your dad. I think he's awesome. This was insane. Nothing was going wrong. And I was being treated like I thought I should be treated. I was being given all the things that I thought I should be given. And not to say it's all about material, and I'm not like trying to act like a gold digger or seem like one, but I've always been attracted to successful men and people who will treat me like a queen. And he was. I was meeting his friends pretty much every night we went out and we were drunk. He was saying, I love you. He wasn't really saying it when we were sober, but he was saying it when we were drunk, and I didn't forget. We had a dinner party together on like August 10th. We met July 4th weekend, a month and a half in. He like gave me his credit card, let me just like buy all these ingredients, flowers, tablescaping, did the whole nine. And we hosted 10 or 12 people at the apartment, and like I was the host. I was the co-host with him. He hired me an assistant to cater to all the people, and she cleaned up. I was on cloud nine. So far up on cloud nine that I had just zero clue of the red flags that were going on. For example, after about 2 or 3 weeks, I went into his medicine cabinet looking for some toothpaste, and there was about 6 shelves of women's skincare products and hair care products. Ding, 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 red flag. Context, he had gotten out of a relationship. Not that I'm making excuses for him, but he had gotten out of an 11-year relationship right before me. So they lived together. I guess some things were still there. That was his excuse. I don't know. I told him it made me uncomfortable. And I was like, if you are not past throwing her shit out, then you should not even be with me. So I was trying to be a little smart, but it just like wasn't happening. I wasn't really following through with it because of the love bombing, because of the dopamine fog that I was in, because he kept me coming back and wanting more. There was constant communication. We were talking on the phone all the time. I remember I would leave him, and if I didn't hear from him by like 3 p.m., I was like, oh, it's over. It's over. He hates me. We're done. And I would go on like 5-mile walks on the West Side Highway every single day to clear my head and to distract myself so that I wouldn't have a complete fucking spiral and, I don't know, double text him. Like something ridiculous. So the list of bombs is so endless. To wrap it up, so you can understand that this was not a fairy tale, although I'm sure you already knew that ending. I went away to Croatia, and right before I left, he had booked kind of a last-minute trip to Burning Man with some of his friends. He was going to be leaving like 3 or 4 days after I left for Croatia. And I was definitely concerned. I was like, you're going to Burning Man? Like, you're 48. Why are you going to Burning Man? It's just a bunch of naked people running around doing drugs. Like, I know how you are. You're very lovey when you're on mushrooms. So when I was leaving for Croatia, it was this big, sorrowful goodbye and whatever. And when I was away, he was texting me every day, calling me every day. What are you doing? What are you doing? He was starting to get a little jealous. After about 3 or 4 days, he left for Burning Man. He sent me a picture of him in the little PJ going out there, and I was ghosted. The discard happened. Granted, I was ghosted for like 8 days, but still, I was ghosted. I was hot and heavy, 1,000% effort for 2.5 months with this guy, and then suddenly, nothing. If you remember from when I told you about how I met Mr. Right, I was spiraling about a guy. Meet the old man. Long story, long story. After he ghosted me for about 8 days, we did end up seeing each other. We had a closure conversation, but then once I cut him off and I was like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore. I started seeing someone else. Go away. He kept coming back and he kept sending me those texts and he kept trying to rope me back in. But luckily, I did not fall for it. So that was the worst I've ever been love bombed in my entire life. It was emotional whiplash. And anytime we weren't together, anytime he wasn't doing these things, it was so triggering, and I would immediately have an anxiety spiral. And I'd be like, he's not doing all of the things. He's not rewarding me. He's not doing the constant communication. Something must be wrong. I must be doing something wrong. I'm not good enough anymore for this guy. He's not choosing me anymore. And there goes my self-worth. Luckily, I will say I do feel like I was like teetering. Like I still had enough confidence and self-worth that I didn't really let it get to me. And I did keep trying to bring myself back down to earth. In this particular instance, I was like, you're 20 years older than me. You're 5'8". Sure, you have money, but you never get sad over someone that you had to lower your standards for. And that's what I reminded myself of. I can talk more about all of the breadcrumbing and weird things he did after to try and get me back. But for the sake of the episode and for love bombing, That was closing the book on the old man. I was fully sold on a dream, a fantasy future, not a real foundation. I mean, there were times where we would drive by like a brownstone. He'd be like, I'm going to buy that one day for us and we're going to live there. Like, that's what I was falling in love with. It was the potential. It was the fantasy that he was laying out for me. And love bombs aren't painful until they're taken away, which is almost always inevitable because the intensity will burn out and it will burn out fast because it's not intimacy. It can't be sustained. And the scariest part about love bombing is that when real love does come along, you might miss it. You might let it pass you by because that real love can feel boring. Healthy relationships do not come with constant fireworks. They come with consistency, safety, and earned intimacy. Love bombing is so dangerous because after it, you suddenly feel like stability is lack of chemistry, and it is not. So here is what you do to avoid being love bombed and to set those goddamn boundaries. Number 1, slow it the fuck down. A healthy relationship builds. Love bombing thrives on speed. If day 1, it's instant, there's a connection, you're in love with them, that's a red flag. The green flag is when it grows. It builds because you're getting to know the person. You're saying, I like all these things about you because I'm learning them. I want to get to know them more and I want to continue interacting with them. So set the boundary. If they start suggesting vacations right away or meeting the parents, just say, hey, I think it's a little soon for that. I want to build something that's real, not fast. Number 2, ask yourself, are their actions matching the stage of the relationship? Saying I love you after 3 days, saying I miss you after a day, that is not deep. That is dishonest. You can say, I'm enjoying this, but it's really important to me that this is based on who we are, not who we want each other to be, not on the potential. When it comes to love bombing, look for pacing. If it feels like a roller coaster that you did not ask to board, get off. And then be aware of your own emotional hunger. If you're looking to fill a void, if you're not feeling good about yourself and you're feeling like you're emotionally starved or starved for affection, that's not a good time to A, get into a relationship, and B, allow someone into your life that's coming in so hot and heavy. That love bomber is just gonna become a fix. It's not a stable, healthy love that will last. Ask yourself, does this feel safe? Or if I do a little bit less, will they leave me? Because that's how I always felt when I was with the old man. It's like if I didn't look my best, if I wasn't always there, he's gonna leave me. So I have to do it all. That is not stability. It's not safety. That's not how a relationship should feel. Should feel the love, whether you're in the room or out of the room. And you should not be worried that if you misstep or if you don't do what you're typically rewarded for, that they will leave you. And probably the most important boundary that you can uphold to avoid being love bombed is protect your autonomy. Keep your routines. Keep hanging out with your friends. Do not disappear because that is where a narcissist starts to isolate you and give you all these things so you only want to be with them. And then you'll never have your friends to hang out with. You won't even have the option anymore because you're going to sabotage your relationships with your friends and your family and yourself. I can't tell you how many relationships I've been in where like I stopped working out because that was time away from them. If I go do this workout class that I had signed up for, I'm gonna miss the dinner that they just invited me to. So I'm just not gonna work out and I'm gonna go to the dinner because there may not be another one. So fucking unhealthy. And I'm sorry if you're doing that and I just called you out so hard, but I'm talking to myself right now. That was so unhealthy of me. I felt like I had to give them all of my time or they would leave me. I was the perfect victim for a love bomber. Someone with abandonment issues. I was like a little fucking mouse at some cheese on a mousetrap. So keep your routines and your friendships intact. And if they start to get upset with that, say you need space. And lastly, trust your gut. That stomach dropping feeling, that is your gut talking to you and telling you that something is not right. That is not chemistry. That is not butterfly connection compatibility. Your nervous system gets deregulated when someone is constantly giving you these dopamine hits and then taking them away. It is so easy to mistake intensity for intuition. Slow the pace, not just of the actions, but of your belief too. Do not believe everything they say right away. Make them prove it. So that is my very long-winded TED Talk for today, guys. I should probably stop calling it TED Talk. I feel like they're gonna come after me. I have no affiliation with TED Talk or TEDx or any sort of TED, anything. That's just me trying to be funny. So I could literally talk about love bombing for fucking ever because it is just something that like I have done and had done to me forever. It is so common. Do not get down on yourself if you've been victim to it. And also know that it doesn't make someone a bad person all the time if they're love bombing you. Like I said, I feel like I kind of used to do it to people. And also if you're anyone that I've ever done it to, I'm sorry. But I was not emotionally mature and I am now. That's it, guys. I gotta go. So thank you so much for tuning in. And please drop comments. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Rate it 5 stars if you liked it. Don't if you didn't. No one likes a 1 star. Love you guys. Thanks so much. And I'll see you next week. Bye.